Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we are coming to you from our remote location this weekend in Spokane, Washington. Spokane Rifle Club. It was awesome hanging with you tonight. And by the time this video comes out, I will be hanging out with the good folks and all the lawful and responsible gun owners up in Davenport. But however, let's get back to what you guys are all freaking out about right now. And we all know what that is. And that is, in fact, House Bill 1240. Because as we know, it passed out of the House. It's now moved on to the Senate, and it has a lot of you really concerned not only about the future of having these types of firearms, but what about the ability just to even get parts and things like that? Have you ever thought about that? Well, I have, and I think we should all have a little discussion about it today so understand what this bill means to that moving forward. So today, let's spend a couple of minutes and talk about why I'm stocking up on parts right now and why you should too. Okay, so the issue we're talking about today is House Bill 1240, because for those of you who've been geeking out on the channel now, you know that that bill did pass out of the House in the wee hours of the evening on March 8th. As of March 10th, it was not only sitting in the Senate, but it already been sent out to the Senate Law and Justice Committee. So this thing is moving along, and yes, there is a reality to this, a significant reality. It has many of you wondering, hey, listen, I get that it's going to ban some types of firearms, and the ones you think it's going to ban, it most definitely is. But listen, you need to check out this video right here if you haven't realized the extent and the broad nature of what's being banned. Because if you think it's just, a few AR-15s, AK-47s, and things like that, oh, no, 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 no. You need to pay careful attention to House Bill 1240 and all the language, and you can, again, check it out on this video right here. What I want to talk to you guys today about is, should you possibly be stocking up on parts right now? Okay, and the answer is that if you own firearms in these platforms and you typically like to use them like you should be allowed to as an American, then yeah, occasionally you need to replace parts either because of wear and tear, they break down, or sometimes you just want to make your weapons a little bit cooler or a little bit more proficient. Well, the ability to get parts and to interchange things is one of the fantastic things about the platforms of firearms that are about to be banned by the state of Washington. Should you right now be stocking up on parts? I'm talking about muzzle brakes. Okay, we're talking about forward grips. We're talking about upper receivers. We're talking about handguards. We're talking about anything that you may think are unique to those particular platforms of firearms. And the answer is yes. Why do I say that? Well, let's just take a look at what the language of the bill itself says. So the source of today's material is going to be, in fact, the language from House Bill 1240. Okay, as we know, in Section 3 of the bill, there is going to be a new section added to RCW 9.41, which reads as follows. No person in this state may manufacture, import, distribute, sell, or offer for sale any assault weapon except as authorized in this section. Okay, and then remember, most of the exceptions really deal with FFLs, military, law enforcement. They do not apply to today's discussion. Now, here's the thing. It says you can't do all of these things, including manufacture, import, distribute, sell, or offer for sale any assault weapon. Now, I know some of you start freaking out every time I use the term assault weapon and you say there is no such thing as that. And legally speaking, you are correct right now. But you see, when or if House Bill 1240 becomes a reality, then there is and will be a statutory definition of assault weapon. Now, again, as we mentioned on this video, it includes a laundry list of firearms, many of which should come as a shock to nobody. However, there is also much more generalized descriptions of certain platforms of firearms in which, if they contain any one of a particular component, then they also fall under the category of an assault weapon. And it includes many firearms that you may not have originally thought, including some semi-automatic shotguns and certain pistols. But amongst the very broad definition that would then be in Washington law, along comes this in the definitional section of what constitutes an assault weapon. Because in addition to all the types of firearms that we've been talking about, it also includes this: a conversion kit, part, or combination of parts from which an assault weapon can be assembled or from which a firearm can be converted into an assault weapon, if those parts are in the possession or under the control of the same person. So right now, what they're saying is listen, a part that can be used to assemble a assault weapon constitutes an assault weapon. Okay, and you begin to see some of the constitutionally vague and overbroad terminologies that are being used here. But does that mean that moving forward, all of the types of parts that we may typically get for these types of firearms, including muzzle brakes, handguards, forward grips, triggers, or any of the other things that you can possibly imagine, does it become impossible for anybody to offer those for sale in this state? The statute is written in a vague term, but here's the bottom line. What do we think is the intent of the legislature here? Do we think that they just merely want to ban the sale of a few firearms moving forward and really beyond that not have that much of an impact? Or do you believe that they want to absolutely, positively disarm? Because when you take a look at the broad language that would be contained in this new definition, it includes a conversion kit, part, or combination of parts from which an assault weapon can be assembled or from which a firearm can be converted into an assault weapon. And then it begins to get into this strange and horribly gray area of law called constructive possession, because then the parts also have to be, if those parts are in the possession or under the control of the same person. Now, I know many of you are going to start putting questions right down in the description box. Well, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I don't have the answer because this is such a horribly worded proposed piece of legislation. I understand the physical and inanimate objects that they're trying to describe, but which ones actually fall in? Which ones can an assault weapon be assembled from? Okay, because theoretically speaking, a lower receiver is the only thing by which an assault weapon could be assembled from when you consider the definition. However, you know that the Attorney General's intent is to have as broad of a definition as humanly possible. But here's the other thing, and this is the part about 1240 that no one's talking about. If you look at the very end of the bill, there is a whole nother section that says that for FFLs moving forward, those who engage in selling these products or are in violation of this law, they are subject to a whole new level of scrutiny under the Consumer Protection Act, exactly the same way as what's happened with some of these FFLs who are unlawfully selling standard capacity magazines exceeding more than 10 rounds in violation of RCW 9.41.370. Let us remember the good folks in Federal Way and what happened to them. And there was a second gun store that suffered the same thing. So now if there is a question, well, maybe we can, maybe we can't. If you're an FFL and you want to be smart about doing your business and you know who the Attorney General is and you know exactly how he's treating the FFL industry, especially with the passage of Senate Bill 5078, do you believe that these parts will be offered for sale at most of your local gun stores? Most likely not. Do you believe that some manufacturers might likely refuse to ship to the state of Washington? Do you believe that some manufacturers might get a cease and desist letter from your Attorney General saying do not ship to the state? Oh, that is highly likely. In fact, that's quite probable. And so when you take a look at the equation, what you see is a lot of uncertainty in the application of this law. You see a lot of uncertainty into the breadth of this law and how much does it really encompass. But what you don't have uncertainty about is where this bill is headed. Because I think we all see the writing on the wall that on the 7th try, this is in high likelihood going to be passed. And the minute it's passed, let us remember that as soon as Governor Inslee signs it, there is an emergency enactment clause in it, and it will take effect immediately. For that reason, and that reason alone, if you are thinking about stocking up on parts, if you think there are things that you may need, I highly recommend that you do so immediately. Listen, I know every time you're seeing my face on a video, it's usually bad news, and all I am doing is giving you the message. Please do not shoot the messenger. I recognize your frustration. We have to keep fighting. Once again, we'll never tell you about how you need to think, but we will give you all the stuff that you need to think about. Listen, you may have more questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights. You guys should know the drill on how to contact us by now, but if you don't, all of our contact information is in the description box down below. In the meantime, I want all of you to remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching, especially here from Spokane, and stay safe.